There's an interesting study last year highlighted by Saul Klein at Index, and he talks about 8% of UK GDP is now driven by the internet economy. And in the next 3 or 4 years to 2016, it's going to go to 12%. So we're actually at the vanguard of both the technology 25 years ago with Tim Berners-Lee and also driving the UK economy through the internet. And I think that's cause for celebration. So while some of the size of the businesses in the US outscale what we're doing here, we have some great success stories proportionate to our size.
But I mean, it just feels, and tell me if this is wrong, maybe I've got the wrong idea, but that the entrepreneurial spirit in the United States is so much more alive than it is over here. You know, the US has got Silicon Valley, we have got a roundabout.
I just don't believe that's true. I mean, simply because we last year there were over 500,000 startups in the UK. And, you know, we just see day on, day out, that number is just growing. So the data doesn't suggest that there isn't an entrepreneurial spirit. In fact, it's driving the UK economy.
How many what proportion of internet startups fail?
A huge proportion. I mean, I think we've got to celebrate failure as part of our culture. I mean, that's well documented. That's what the US has over the UK. But some great successes. There are businesses like King.com as an example. That didn't
King.com?
King.com.
What is that?
Well, that's an online gaming company. That should float in the next couple of weeks at somewhere around 5 billion US. That's a British company we should be proud of. Valued more than the market capitalisation of something like Morrison's today, which hasn't really embraced the internet economy in the last 20 years. So Halo, a taxi app, another cause for success. And Skyscanner, a great business that I had some involvement with, that is a global leader in the travel industry. So we have some great success, and we should celebrate that as well as looking backwards at the invention.
OK, so we've got the ideas here, but what about the money to get ideas off the ground? If you speak to people that have started up internet-based companies, I'm thinking of the likes of Tim Levine, Betfair, of Nick Hungerford, more recently at Nutmeg, they all went to the United States to get to the investment that they needed. You
don't have to. I mean, there's a great cluster of technology startups and capital in London.
Where?
I mean, you said, well, Silicon Roundabout around Old Street. The government has supported the Tech City initiative around a cluster that existed already. There's a large venture capital scene in the UK, and access to capital and talent is why people come to London. So you can choose to go and be romanced by the lure of the West Coast, but it exists, and businesses can be successful by staying in the UK and indeed Europe.
And you, and with the ventures that you've been involved in, have all been, you've raised money domestically here in the UK, or have you had to go to
a combination. So our current business has raised money out of the UK, a specific UK fund. Match.com was listed in the US. And Skyscanner has done that primarily.
You disprove your point. I mean, you chose to list in the United States.
You have choices. I mean, that's the point that I'd make. I think we should be proud of the successes in the UK, and I think we shouldn't be afraid of that failure, which you might suggest that the Americans are slightly better at. But it's getting better. There is certainly a groundswell of great businesses and great support for businesses in the UK. And long may that last.
The disruptive power of the internet, I suppose, has been felt most keenly on the high street, hasn't it? I guess in the retail sector. Where do you think, as yet, that power has not been felt, where there's still so much potential?
Yeah, I think you're right. When you look at businesses like HMV or Comet that really struggled to make themselves known in the last sort of 10 years, I think that there's an interesting trend towards businesses that are online, that represent value to consumers, but have an offline component today as well. So people are looking for more than just price on the internet these days. They want choice and personalisation as well. So that could lead to any number of areas, but particularly in financial services, we think there's a huge opportunity.
Of all the ideas you've heard, I'm talking about the real startups, the real in their infancy now. Yeah. Give me one that you think's one to look out for.
Well, I like Halo. I think
not one you've got an investment in, please.
I like Halo. That's a great way of updating a service and industry. They're looking for taxes. I think that's something that I use regularly.
OK, that's we'll leave it there and keep an eye on that brand. Jason Stockwood, Chief Executive at Simply Business. Thank you very much.